Someone shoots up a power grid substation in the Triad. It's not the first time. We all want it to be the last.
Be able to think that we could ever prevent 100%, it's just not really possible.
At 5:32, we press for answers about what can be done to help keep the lights on. Plus, seeing Damar Hamlin collapse on the field has made lots of folks want to take a CPR class. They can be a couple hours long, but coming up at 5:43, we've got a certified trainer who will show you how to save a life in less than a minute. And layoffs are already happening in some industries across the country.
What we're going to start to see is just the beginning of some layoffs, but it really hasn't hit most of the mainstream economy yet.
Does that yet scare you? We're here to prepare you for whatever may happen. Let's dig into it. It happened again, another attack on our vital infrastructure, right here in North Carolina. Energy United says its substation in Randolph County was hit by gunfire. They were able to quickly divert power from another area yesterday, which kept customers from really feeling that impact. The attack comes just over a month after two Duke Energy substations in Moore County were also shot up, leaving over 40,000 people in the dark for days. Investigators don't know if the shootings are related, and they don't know who did this. But here's what we do know. Energy insiders say your lights could turn off if more is not done to protect our power grid. We asked Governor Roy Cooper's office for an interview about what he plans to do to prevent future attacks. A spokesperson sent back this statement, writing, "While the governor is grateful there were no power outages, any attack on infrastructure is a serious crime and needs full investigation." Similar attacks nationwide show the importance of smart investments to make the energy grid and its systems resilient and capable of recovering quickly from any damage. Those similar attacks nationwide are something we've been warning about for years now. In fact, my first story on the power grid was almost a decade ago. It is time for things to change. So we are going to dig into what vulnerabilities are out there and how they can be fixed. Starting off, take a look at one of the attacks caught on camera. Back in 2013, we first showed you this surveillance video. It shows the flashes of light created when more than 100 rounds were fired at Pacific Gas and Electric substation transformers. The attackers also cut 6 fiber optic cables, racking up more than $15 million in damage. Power wasn't lost, but industry experts say the sophistication and scale was unlike anything they'd ever seen.
This event caused us and the entire industry to take a new and closer look at our critical facilities and what we can do to protect them.
After the attack, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission directed the industry to write new rules for physical security, as transformers and other critical equipment often sit in plain view, protected by just a chain link fence and a few security cameras. Since that time, there have been almost 700 physical attacks on power plants across the U.S., according to an energy grid watchdog who runs the site Grid Security Now. Earlier this year, he told CBS's 60 Minutes.
We've had disasters in the past, but they've generally always been regional in scale. What we've never had is a national scale blackout, which is completely possible under some known threats, such as the cyber threat, the physical security threat, or even extreme weather. And the U.S. public is completely unprepared to survive without the electric grid for any period of time whatsoever.
The government is well aware of these problems. In fact, the Government Accountability Office, they've had several audits laying out in detail all the weaknesses in the power grid. They also made recommendations to secure our power supply. Now, the biggest of these reports came out in 2019. As of October of this year, the GAO says these recommendations have not been implemented yet, leaving the grid vulnerable. So that's the government response, right? What about the corporate response? Well, on the power company's end, they are in the process of reviewing security protocols and have already started making changes. Here's the spokesperson from Energy United.
And obviously, the power grid itself is very dispersed among the community. We have power lines everywhere, substations everywhere. So to be able to think that we could ever prevent 100%, it's just not really possible. I do think we're going to have to take a stronger look in light of recent events as to how we can step it up. I know some people have discussed building walls around substations and that type thing, and certainly that would help prevent against certain attacks. I think that, as I said before, I think, utilities around the nation are going to be taking a second look at all their security measures to see what else needs to be done to be able to prevent these types of attacks.
Here's why this is so important. A report by counterterrorism experts in the federal government say if a terrorist knocked out just 9 of the right power substations across the country, well, look at this, power could go out from coast to coast. We're talking about a total blackout that might last for days. It could be crippling to our economy and even life-threatening. Now, to help stop that from happening, President Biden's infrastructure bill passed last year into law has money to upgrade the transmission lines. The timeline's not totally clear for when those upgrades will be made, but that will help protect against physical attacks. It does not address the potentially bigger threat of cyber attacks, something that is already happening on other key utilities like water departments. Listen to how one worker actually caught the hackers in the act.
The guy saw his cursor and mouse moving on the screen and clicking on things and changing the sodium hydroxide levels in the water. I mean, it's shocking.
A big problem fighting hackers is that there just aren't enough people trained on computers to protect them. But UNCG has a plan to change that. They've got a new training program.
You don't need a whole lot of skill to launch an attack, but you need a whole lot of skill to stop the attack.
The cybersecurity programs at UNC Greensboro aim to give students the necessary skills to protect our country's technology. Dr. Kane Smith created the curriculum just 5 years ago. The first class started in 2019 with just about 30 students. Now they have 100 students in the cybersecurity class. While the program is growing, teachers say class sizes could even triple in the next 10 years, and there still won't be enough people to meet demands.
We do not have enough cybersecurity professionals. There are literally millions of unfilled jobs in this area. There is simply not enough talent and enough qualified individuals.
You don't need any prior experience. It's a year-long online program with students expecting to make anywhere from 60 to 90 grand right out of the gate. You can find more information about the classes UNCG offers on WFMYnews2.com.
Every guy on the team just, was so happy to see him.
Mar Hamlin is getting back in the swing of things. Coach shares how the recovery's going next.